Hey there, and welcome to SaaS Unbound, brought to you by SaaS Group. I'm your host, Anna Nadeina, and this is the show where we chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business a success. And today with me is Sujan Patel, founder of Mailshake, a sales engagement platform for modern sales teams. Mailshake is a profitable, bootstrapped, and fast-growing startup offering a simple and elegant solution to almost 70,000 customers worldwide. And we're here to learn how they did it. Welcome, Sujan. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat today.
Cool. Okay, so let's jump into your story right away. If you could maybe give a bit of a background about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So my background's in digital marketing. Kind of start off as an SEO. So I've been in marketing for about 20 something years. Really start of .com days. Back in high school when I was doing SEO consulting. And I was the only Indian guy on like Elance that's actually in the US. That's kind of how I started really early into digital marketing, kind of found like my passion for growth. So I don't really care what I grow. I just love seeing numbers go up and to the right. 2008-ish, I started a marketing agency, work with all sorts of different types of companies. We were in the Bay Area, so we were like fortunate enough to work with some really hot startups, like Mint, lots of different Intuit properties, companies that ended up getting acquired by like LinkedIn, Airbnb, Expedia Group, various e-commerce sites. And what I found is this is when I fell in love with SaaS. Out of all the businesses that we were able to grow and work with, SaaS seemed to be the highest, growth, profit, exit value, fun to operate. And so I was like, I need to be on the other side of this. I want to own a SaaS company. So that's about 2011 or so. And since 2011 to 2015, I tried to start a number of software companies and failed quite a bit. And I realized I'm missing a lot of stuff, like a lot of skills. So I know how to grow a business. I know how to build a team. I know how to do sales, but I have no clue how to do, at the time, product development, customer support, success. And really the product was the weakest part because I would go hire developers and say, like, go build this tool for marketers, right? That was my goal. I was like, let's just build something for marketers. Forget the TAM, forget any of this stuff that's like business 101. I was like, let's just validate a marketing idea because I know marketers. I can sell to them. I can market to them. And anyways, long story short, I was missing product as a skill set. So I sold the business, joined a company, one of my clients as a VP of marketing to learn the ins and outs of the other thing besides marketing. And in my 2 years there as a funded company, took it from 1 million to about 12 or 13 million ARR. And on the side, I got really bored. So going from an entrepreneur to an employee is so boring. And so it's easy in the sense that you have a lot of time on your hand. It's not easy because you have to change, going from CEO to employee, kind of hard. But I had a lot of time on my hands. I had about 16 hours of like, what do I think about? Like the business I was working on, my day-to-day job, it was growing. We're doing all the right things, but after what I do like in my nights and weekends and like, what do I think about when I wake up? Like it was a little bit of work stuff, but that's when I started thinking about what to build. And again, same premise. Let's go build. I don't know how to build a software company. Let's just build something. Let's remove all the variables. Forget TAM. Forget can this make money? Let's just say, will people use it? So we started, that's where the idea behind Mailshake came from. Originally started as targeting marketers and content marketers, SEO specifically, for doing things like link building, content promotion, and all sorts of outreach, but for marketing purposes. Probably 3 to 4 months in, we realized the sales, like a salesperson actually snuck in and used it, and then boom, like, oh, salesperson used it, loved it, shared it, and they started making money. I'm like, oh, making money with my product, and they started bringing more people. Long story short, that's when we realized this product is much, much better for sales reps and sales teams versus marketers. Marketers still use it, but there's no better use case than when somebody uses a product and actually generates revenue directly from the benefit, immediate revenue from the usage of the software. So anyways, long story short, that's kind of the background of Mailshake. That was 7.5 years ago. Now we're about 45 employees and growing, and again, bootstrapped. I just wanted to build something. I didn't really think twice. I brought in all the business stuff after the fact, which is a bad idea in retrospect.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get there. I get super fascinated by people who say, I fell in love with growing in high school. I fell in love with procrastinating, like not going to to classes in high school. How like it's amazing. But it's probably great that you found your passion so early. So let's get to it. Like it seems like there was a challenge first of finding market fit, and then second, probably not being able to think about the pricing or just the whole business model, or what were you referring to in terms of not
The
sorry,
business model itself.
yeah.
Yeah. So the first part, product market fit, I think it took us like 18 months. Here's what we did wrong, and what I would do the exact opposite. We built the product first based off validation from about 100 or so people. Again, marketers who we're going after. And problem number one, they all said they love the thing. Okay, that's the wrong way to do product research. Okay, everyone's going to tell you they love the thing if they're your friends. Everyone loves concepts, right? And so you have to dig in a lot deeper than like, hey, if I built this, would you use it, right? And maybe it's like functional wireframes or mock-ups, or like digging into like, how much would you pay for this? Like, buy it now, right? So I should have like done a lot better, deeper research in product. And then problem number two is I built a bunch of stuff based off a lot of wrong assumptions, or a little bit too nice people, where they didn't give me the wrong thing. And so I built a lot. And so that caused us to be really slow to get out there. So let me put it in perspective. We started the company in February 2015. Around the same time, some of our competitors, you might know them, they're billion-dollar companies, Outreach and SalesLoft, also pivoted into this same space around the same time. Because we're dumb and we were learning, we built this big product for marketing people when we could have built it for salespeople in the beginning. And it took us about 9 months to go to market with this. It was probably like 6 to 9 months, somewhere there, with this big bloated product that didn't have product market fit with the customer. And when we figured that out, we quickly scrambled to figure how do we get in front of the right customers? And we knew that we didn't have a product market fit because activation was bad. So I'm good at marketing. So we ended up getting $5,000, $10,000 in ARR very quickly. But those customers didn't stay. They didn't use the product. Some of them paid, but they didn't use the product. And that was the point of, I was like, okay, this isn't going to scale more than where we're at today. Number two is pricing second. Okay, so my goal was, let's just get into SaaS. And, not a bad thing, but if I just spent like maybe another hour or 2 or 3, like I'm talking about less than a day's work, I would have figured out what the right pricing model is. So my background has been primarily and I've done all types of deals, but mostly in software in SMB SaaS. So self-service, where it's mostly product-led, or there's a huge free trial freemium component of it that drives the massive funnel of just people coming through the door, and then sales assist on top of that. So that was like, well, screw it. Why don't I just do what I know? Let's just do that. I know how to do it, and just do it again. And I charged too little. I just said, like, what's the cheapest I can charge to get people in the door to validate this idea. What I should have done is put that into the product research phase and said, what is the right way to price this thing? And where is the market? Like, so again, for example, outreach sales off. So back in the day when we started 2015, there were 14 competitors. The idea for me was, Yesware's been out there for a long time and it sucks. It's inside Gmail. It's super kludgy, clunky. Google just launched it. Gmail just launched an API. We could build a way better version. It was a web app, and the focus is going to be on ease of use and simplicity. That's what we got right. Everything else we got wrong, even the customer and the pricing. So anyways, instead of then like digging into, should we charge a lot for it? Should we go after enterprise mid-market? Should we do SMB, whatever, product-led growth? We just said, screw it. Let's do what we know. Charge the least amount. It was $7 or $9 a user at the time. And we were young and naive. So we didn't even launch multi-user plans. You could like sign up for the company and like only buy one seat, which is again, like, so there was no upgrade path. So let me put it this way. As a $7 ARPU, you need like hundreds of thousands of customers to build a scalable business. And so, anyways, fast forward about 6 to 12 months, we iterated, got it right, got it working. I brought on an advisor, Bob Senoff, who is more of the CFO, COO, kind of the business guy, to make sure all the crazy ideas I had would go through a financial model first. And then he could tell me how good or bad it was based off what's going to happen, right? He's like, hey, if you charge $9 a month, this is where the business is going to go flat. I'm like, oh yeah, we shouldn't charge $9 a month. So that's when we quickly realized we need to charge more. And we need to get that ARPU into the $50 to $100 range. And then in 2000, I'm jumping around a little bit, but in 2019, we're like, whoa, this SMB market is actually not the best market. The best way to build wealth or build value in this business, it's actually the mid-market enterprise, because you can charge tens to hundreds of thousands per customer. And therefore you don't need as many. And we kind of had 70, 80% of the functionality anyways. And so that's kind of the long journey and many failures in that journey to go up market. I'd say 2022 is when we really said, you know what, we're going to close the door behind us in going up market, meaning we're not going to focus on SMB. They might come in the door, but we're going to price them out. So in 2022, we went to yearly jacked up prices, focus on real true functionality that was lacking. And then for larger mid-market enterprise deals, really the channel to grow them is outbound sales. Again, we're an outbound product, so that you would think is not a challenge, but it was because of our pricing. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of the long and short of what happened, where we started, and then like, long half-assing of going up market. We finally got our shit together in 2022.
Right. Okay. It seems like a very fast forward, but yeah, if you think about it, it's still 5-7 years, right, to actually get it right and to get maybe brave enough to say no to a huge chunk of customers. Okay.
Yeah.
So so let's talk about your day-to-day operations with the company, right? A very small company, very small team. How did you prioritize? Like you said, you were iterating for almost a year. How did you prioritize what you were doing? How did you know, again, fast forward 2022, what the enterprises are going to be looking for? So what's your process in finding the features that you want to build?
Yeah, so that's actually the simple answer is we've never really been the market leader in innovation. So we're not inventing new things that magically people will use. What we're actually more of we're more of like the last mover more than the first mover. So when you are a last mover or a late mover, you have a very big advantage, which is you see the future. The future is what all the people in the space are doing, and you can see their successes and failures. So if you really dig in, you can find out what functionality that they built that people like and don't like. And the way to do that is interviewing their customers, interviewing people in the space. Like, what do you like about outreach and sales law? And again, we put our own spin in it. From day one, our approach has always been, we want to help make this easy to use, straightforward. We want to add automation to stop the redundant tasks and whatnot. But we're also only going to build things that actually work, right? And so that allows us not to spend a lot of time on R&D of potential value and really focus on what actually will help. And then our own spin of like, okay, there's like these 10 ways. There's like, let's just say there's all this like LinkedIn automation. Well, there's a lot of different companies doing it and functionality out there. How do we make it the Mailshake easy to use way? Like, so like a quick example of that is like, InMail. Like some of our competitors have InMail related automation, and we're like, screw that. Nobody reads InMail. We know that. Why are we focusing on? Why don't we focus on just the parts that actually move the needle for an actual salesperson? So long story short, like we were fortunate enough to have a front row seat to the successes and failures, and we were just doing our homework. And that's how we're able to really focus on, with a smaller team, no budgets, the right functionality. And even then, we probably were like 60-70% wrong. Everyone is in the tech space. Like not every new feature or product you build works out. But yeah, that's kind of what we focus on. What my day-to-day looks like today is that I oversee everything growth and product. So I have really like 4 or 5 direct reports. I had a CS, head of inbound sales, head of outbound sales, a marketing person, and then the head of product. And just helping them stay focused on what the vision they're executing on.
Okay, so it's more of a strategic now.
Yeah. And prior to that, from 2019 to 22, I hired a marketing manager, like built out the sales team. Well, I hired somebody to build out the sales team. And so like I was really in the weeds a little bit more in certain areas, or managing folks and helping build teams. But I've always been a fan. Ever since I learned I couldn't do everything myself, and I'm not going to be an expert at everything, which was a very easy lesson to learn as I met smarter people than me along the whole journey. I wanted to build a rock star team that can execute with what we have to work with. So, that was hiring. The biggest decisions, wrong or good, have been, the key hires, the managers, or the department heads of product or marketing. And I will tell you, I think I have a 50% success rate in hiring. So the first person I hired to lead the department that we build up ends up not working out. And so you'd think I got good at that, but it is a very hard kind of role to find. And the hard part is not probably what you think. It's not that you can't, for example, head of product. You'd think, like you have a software business in the sales tech space, find somebody who knows industry knowledge and has worked in the size team. Well, because you're bootstrapped, it's a different mentality, right? And industry knowledge turns out is not as important as being able to work in super small teams and being agile and nimble and then them being able to actually hire and recruit themselves. And so, we hired a VP of marketing one time. It lasted like maybe 3-4 weeks. Because the first thing they wanted to do was spend all the marketing budget on.
Yeah, when you said one
metric.
time, that kind of gave it away.
What we did, they wanted to spend all the marketing budget on metrics. Like they wanted to do product analytics. I'm like, okay, great. what are you going to do with that information when you find out it does X? Because you have no more money to do anything with it. So congratulations, you have all the answers, but no resources to do stuff with it. So again, that if I were that person was at a funded company with $100,000 monthly marketing budget and a 10-person team, right move. 2-person marketing team and a $10,000 a month budget, you've played your cards and you have no options to execute. So anyways, it's been these types of things, and I'd say that transitioning to a bootstrap company is been probably the hardest part of this, because we want like high growth, but we have no money to do that. When I say no money, I
That's
mean like
honest.
we only have the money we make, right? So
Right.
when we were 3 million ARR, I was like, okay, this $3 million is going to get split up between engineering, sales, marketing, whatever, and so like everyone got like a sliver, right? If we're a funded company, we'd be $3 million and have like 5, 10, $20 million. And that's different. You can operate, I think you can make more moves and learn with execution, versus for us, it's like measure 10 times, execute maybe once, right? Like if you're lucky. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So a few questions. First of all, about being the last one to market. A lot of founders are very scared to be in that space, because if you can Google a company that does exactly that, and there are 13, 20 pages on Google of companies that do that, it's probably not the best space to move in. So how did you do with this kind of mentality? Did you have any hesitation of like, maybe it's not the right thing to do, maybe we should find something more disruptive? Or
I
was
mean,
it
the
a
grass is
validation?
always, yeah, I mean, I think the grass is always green on the other side. So the advantage of being in a space, being the last person in the space. So just to be clear, we started in 2015. There's 14 people in the space, including us. There was 120 something competitors in the space. So
Sure.
they're now like 90, 100 people behind us. So we were last movers, and now we're kind of not the last movers. There's more people, but the advantage to be a late mover in any space is you can find areas to improve. You can find weaknesses and gaps. The other part this is that when technology changes, if you can be there at the intersection of that point, there's enough there to potentially be a unique situation. And so we were kind of at this intersection of like Gmail opened up their API, which allowed a lot of automation to be done that was done really poorly, because the plumbing behind the scenes had to be manually built through a bunch of like SMTP, a bunch of like nerdy email stuff behind the scenes. And now with Gmail API, you can just like plug and play essentially. And so a technology change allowed us to potentially to enter the market. Do I think like, why are we in such a crowded space all the time? But like, I don't know, why am I short? I can't control my height, right? As an adult. I would like to be in a less crowded space, but I would tell you in 2023, every category in every space is crowded. So deal with it, right?
Right.
I think
Okay.
the focus is really what makes you stand out, and really don't just, and for who. I think that's a really important thing. So yeah, I mean, in our space, sales engagement or like email outreach or sales tech, there's thousands of companies, hundreds of companies, what have you, in our specific space. But like, we're targeting 5 to 20-person sales teams, and that's it, that use one of 3 CRMs and are growing. That's our market. How do we be the best for that? And what's our USP, unique selling proposition? And that's all we care about. So if we can figure out what we can be amazing at there, that's enough to kind of win. And for me, the great thing about being bootstrapped, um, I don't have. I guess like we've already won. Like we have nearly 70,000 customers. We make money, um, and we're growing. And so I don't know. We just want to keep going faster and bigger. I don't have
That's
any
good.
pressure. Like if we don't grow, it sucks. But I still we still have a business.
Right. Well, I'm always happy to see happy founders here. Someone who's, not struggling, not figuring out what to do next. And that's beautiful. Another question is about bootstrapping. And I think I've heard becoming a bootstrapping company. So, did you at some point raise money?
No, no. I put in about 150,000 probably total, to get the company to keep the company afloat, get it started to keep it afloat. Actually, it cost me more to keep it afloat than to start it because again, we pivoted,
Got
right?
it.
So time was the factor. So just to give everyone a timeline, 2015 was the idea, launched in late 2015, 2007, late 2017, we got product market fit. Um, and 2019, so 2 years after that, we went and we decided to move up market into the outreach and sales engagement space. And 2022 is when we said, no more SMB, only mid market. Let's go. And we still get SMB, so we're okay with SMB,
Right.
but we're not spending any money to market or build product for them.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about scaling. Right. So at what point, what tipped you off that, this is the time and the place to start hiring, to start, I don't know, buying ads on Facebook or whatnot. So at what point you realized that you reached that growth stage that you were looking for?
I think the like scaling started when we hit about 1 million ARR. Not necessarily started. I mean, sorry, not what we weren't necessarily there, but when you're at 1 million, you have to think about the moves you're going to make at 5 and 10, right? Um, and so that was when I was like, oh, I don't have to just like grind it out and do everything myself. I can hire somebody to help me take this stuff off my plate. Like I don't have to answer support tickets now. Um, I didn't answer support tickets for a long time. I think I did it for like the first year and then I hired somebody. But I just mean like there are functions I can hire out for. Um, so yeah, that was really the big thing. And then the other thing is like at that point, like if we decide to, let's say at 1 million, we decide to spend 500K on, let's just say marketing. And if it doesn't work, we're screwed, right? Like, so that was when this point of like, oh, it's not just about like how good I am. It's about the vision of where this is going to go and trying to be, kind of accurate to what's realistic. Um, and so, yeah, that was a thing. And then really, I look at the business, I have a very simplistic view. It's all about building a USP in the product and a growth levers. So my goal ever
Oops,
since I hit
muted
about 1 to
myself.
2 million, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, growth levers. That's the hardest part of the business. In fact, I'd argue that in 2023, it's actually cheaper to build the product and easier to build the product than it is to attract the customer
Oh,
because of
absolutely.
how much,
100% agree.
yeah, so much competition, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, customer acquisition cost is just, I think it's skyrocketed. And now with, no code, low code frameworks, whatnot, you can build a product in, I don't know. I've had guests here on the podcast who've built, launched, and sold in just under a year. Um, but yeah, the biggest problem was distribution. So let's marry now growth and the fact that you're bootstrapped, and tell me if there are any rules, something that keeps you growing strong while bootstrapping. So, is there something that you would not do unless you're absolutely sure that you have a heavy cash flow?
I think that, so I put it to you a different way. Okay. So same question, different answer. So instead of, I focus not necessarily on what I won't do and what I do, more so on what's worthwhile executing on. So imagine everything you're going to do is going to be successful. What is success? Is whatever idea, big or small, how much is it going to move the needle? And what do you define as moving the needle? So for me, we've always had a goal at the company to reach $100 million exit value. And in order for us to do that, we need to get somewhere between 20 to 30 million in ARR and be growing, um, and hit the rule of 40. So the rule of 40 is you either have to be, somehow you have to make up 40. So you either be profitable 20% and growing 20% or growing 40% and be break even. You could be growing 50% and be negative 10% cash,
Right.
whatever, right? So that's the goal, $100 million exit value. Everything I do, I question, does this impact that goal? And is that going to get me anywhere closer? Is there better things I can do with it? And so I don't look at this as like, oh, like, should I do this or should I do that? And like, how should we go about this? It's like, I question, does this even matter? Is this going to even move the needle? So when I say move the needle, $100 million exit goal, like, and we don't have to sell, but it's a easy way to like define the worth of the business and a bunch of rules that set us a good business. And then it's like, okay, what do I need to do over the next 5 years to hit that goal? And so again, I have yearly targets. And so when I think about, does this move the needle? Is this going to help me get closer to this number? Most of the time, the answer is no. And so we just don't do it. Right now in Slack, there's a chat around my head of sales came up with a really good idea that could help reduce churn. Well, even if that was successful, the impact would be maybe 2% of the people that would see this like prompt would not churn effectively. Well, that 2% doesn't do jack for the business. Therefore, why think about it? Why do it? And so I say no 95, maybe 98% of the time. My job with these 4 or 5 managers I deal with is just tell them no. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay on course. Like bowling. I'm the bumpers in bowling. That's the goal of, as a CEO at the moment. It's like, no, we have a goal. It just keep going straight. Like,
Right.
deviate? No. Like maybe like 5 degrees, not 50 degrees, right? So, yes, the answer is really that, and that's really hard to do because you know what? Like those 98 times I had to say no out of 100, they were good ideas, but like I'm sacrificing good ideas for 1 or 2 great ideas.
Right. Okay.
So
That makes sense.
biggest mistake we made last 2020 and 2021, we spent almost $1 million in marketing over those 2 years, built an awesome team. Unfortunately, marketing didn't actually move the needle for the business. And the needle for us was moving up market. It got us more customers and more stuff and more traffic. Like we doubled, tripled the traffic. Our email newsletter was like through the roof. All these like awesome metrics to say like, oh, like you got more traffic. Wouldn't that be the thing? And more customers? Yes. But we failed to execute moving up market and therefore we failed. So,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for, honestly sharing that. Okay. So since we started talking about a potential exit, $100 million evaluation, and I guess that's like the highest number I've heard on this podcast. Everyone's talking about like 10 million ARR. Like hit that magic number and then think about safety. 100 million, that's new, but totally possible, I think. And so is there anything that you're implementing already? Say you're hitting 100 million in 5 years. Is there anything that you're implementing so that you're just at this strategic point. You're at your bowling alley, and everything's operating perfectly without you. So you are kind of just looking for VCs to flood your office.
Yeah, I mean, I think the what I focus on is where the market's going. What can we do to make our customer, our exact ICP more successful? Like, forget the product. Like, I don't like this is all about on the business, not in the business. So we've got the team executing pretty well to amazing, and depending on what area we're at, in the business. So I think about how can I add value to the business? What's like things that would help them? Not looking at it from the lens of like, oh, what product can we build? Like, forget that. Like, what's going to help people close more deals that our salespeople close more deals. Number two is how can we be strategic to an acquirer? Who is an acquirer, right? Now, I'm not going to share all the details. We have a list. We have a list of like 6 to 7 people that we know would be great buyers. We would love to be acquired by them. Now, I mentioned $100 million exit value. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to sell, but that means we have to have a healthy business that's growing, that like can run if I died, right? Or if I'm not like in the day to day of every little decision, right? Or if I'm not actually doing the product roadmap or the marketing or the sales or whatever, right? So it has to be a healthy, growing business that has a great management team and great individual contributors. But yeah, I solely focus these days on how can we add more value to the business? How do we make it more? How do we make it strategic? So I told you there's 120 something people in the space. What the heck makes us better than any of the other folks, right? Being bigger in revenue and more customers might not be a good thing, right? So like, one company that would potentially acquire us, which is probably we're so far away from it, Salesforce. Well, why would Salesforce buy us versus 119 of our competitors? And wouldn't they buy like a smaller one because it's cheaper than a bigger company, right? Or would they buy our customers? Are our customers worth anything to our, whatever? And then I also think about how to increase NRR and ACV. So again, going up market, 2 metrics that matter to me is NRR and ACV. Those numbers go up, we're going in the right direction. They go down. Even if we grow, we're probably not going in the right direction towards that goal. And then how to build moats. So these are some really like, you kind of have to sit there, read, like, I'm really talking to other founders, talking to other CEOs, people who have exited, and trying to learn the most I can to figure out what are the 1 or 2 moves I can make after we're done with this move.
Right. Okay. All right. So maybe not yet, right? You're not getting ready for it full time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's super cool. Okay, just a couple more questions, and one is something that I always ask: the biggest win and the biggest failure. So the failure, I guess, we've got right in the marketing efforts. What was the biggest win?
I think the biggest win was just when we implemented something called EOS, and
What's that?
it stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's just a good structure to manage the day-to-day business. We implemented it very early on, I think in 2018, and since then, everybody knows, every single person can reiterate our core values, can reiterate what the goal is for the quarter, what the year, what the exit value is, and they can think through the same way I think about it, like, does this help us hit our goal? Like, every single person at the company can do that. And because of that, like, alignment, because of all that, it creates a lot of alignment, and it means we can move forward. There's no one like who's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, if they go through their own logic tree of this decision making, we'll all kind of end up at a similar direction. So the lack of the internal alignment has helped us move very, very fast through headwinds and waves against us.
Super cool. Okay, that sounds great. And probably the last one, it's kind of a bonus question. So lots of people are talking about AI as being the trend or maybe an overhyped trend to some extent. What do you think is the actual trend of 2023, especially in
Um,
SaaS?
Survival. Um,
That's a good
Survival is
one.
the trend. I think AI is definitely a macro trend that's going to happen over the next kind of the next. It's the next wave of technology companies. Um, but we're so early that we have no. I don't think anybody has a crystal ball of like what's good and bad and what's going to make it, because like all this stuff sounds great, but like we need like time to really play it out. But I think given everything that's happening in the economy, banks, like just layoffs, all that stuff, those awesome companies that were started over the last decade surviving this like turmoil will be, I think, the trend, like, and how
Okay.
to do it.
Okay. Have you put any risk mitigation process in place for Mailshake?
Yeah, we have a lot of scenarios. But our simple one is just don't spend money you don't have, and you know, stay, stay. Having enough cash and staying profitable helps us not have to overreact to certain things. Um, and so just staying to that ethos of like it's not growth at all cost. It's it's um, it's what helps us hit our exit value. And so we've been fortunate enough not to have to do like um, doomsday scenarios or have to like think about risk or lack of what happens if we lose customers. Well, we would reduce how much we spend on stuff, right? um, and we're fortunate enough to have a lot of growth come from word of mouth and our customers, and so that marketing channel, you can't turn it off ever. Like they just keep it. We have enough customers where I guess the virality component of it is enough to keep the business moving. We just have to not mess up any of the other stuff that we do.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. Well, Sujan, that was probably my last question. It was absolutely awesome talking with you. You've got a great story, and you're so focused on your goal, which is great to see. So good luck with that, and hopefully next time I interview you will be after that exceptional exit.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited, and hopefully I'll definitely be pinging you once we exit, but just which is like 5 years from now. So um, there's no
Okay.
exits right now happening for sure.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, thank you and take care. Bye.
Awesome. Yeah.